Joel Embiid, you heard him after the game say that the turning point was the Ben Simmons not dunking opportunity and giving it up to Matisse Thybulle, and then everything kind of hit the fan after that. Did you think that that was the turning point as well? And were you as shocked as pretty much everybody else in the building when Ben Simmons didn't throw that ball down?
And that's a great question. I mean, yeah, I was shocked. As far as that being a turning point, I felt like that there were some other opportunities that they were missing. I mean, guys were missing shots before that. But I will say, with them being down 2 points, and he had an opportunity to dunk it to tie the score, and he didn't, it kind of took the life out of the building. You know, there were like fans like booing, and people were like, wow, they couldn't believe it. But personally, I think that there were a lot of guys missing shots beforehand, and that kind of hindered the Sixers too.
Mm-hmm. No, and I would certainly agree with that. And I mean, you look throughout the game, Joel Embiid had 8 turnovers overall, but it's hard to throw a lot of blame at him when he was the guy that was pretty much bringing it through the vast majority of this series. And even in his bad game, had 17 points and 21 rebounds. As far as Simmons goes, though, where do you think, and it's very soon after, and we'll catch up with you maybe later down the line, but it's very soon after, where do you think Ben Simmons goes from here? Where do the Sixers go from here when it comes to Ben Simmons? Is it more of working on him as a Sixer or working to move on from him?
That's right now a lot of people are saying you got to work on the move from him, right? That's what everybody says. But then again, you got to try to get, if you do that, you got to try to get value from him. So I think that, if you're Daryl Morey, I mean, it's easy to say get rid of him, but who are you going to get rid of him for? So I mean, I don't think it's such a slam dunk as everyone is saying it is. And, the one thing is Doc Rivers said that, hey, we're going to have to work with him and have a talk with him on certain things. So I think they're going to have that process going. And it's one of those things where I think, Ben is going to have to want it. I mean, here's a guy who's had so much success on not shooting foul shots, not shooting outside jumpers. And then the playoffs that's when people guard you differently, you struggle. So, he's good enough to be an all-star, but are you good enough? Is your game good enough to get you to win a championship? And I think that's one of those things where Ben has to look himself in the mirror and decide to see what he wants to do. But in regards to trading him right now, I mean, I think that his trade value is dropped a little bit. So it's one of those things where, you're not just going to give him away, but at the same time, I think you have to go out there and see what's out there.
I gotta admit, I was troubled. Like that's the word that came to mind when Ben Simmons says, this is who I am. It is what it is. And it was like, yeah, but what about the part where we get better at being an athlete? What about the part where we put in the work to get better at the deficiencies that you had really ever since you came into the league? And when you think about that, we watched Joel Embiid get better at his deficiencies and can make them strengths. Ben Simmons, we've kind of seen very similar to what we saw him come into the league as.
Yeah, you're right. But here's the thing. I we shouldn't be surprised. I mean, when you think about it, like Ben Simmons always says that this is who I am. And I think that what we've done is people look at him as the first overall pick. They look at him as a guy getting a max contract. And we all try to say, this is who we want you to be. But all the while, he's never lied to us and said he was someone else that he isn't. And the thing is, we get upset. People are talking about the fans. They get upset during the playoffs. But this is who the guy is. This is who he is. Mm-hmm. So the one thing is, when he says stuff like that, I don't get upset because he's been saying the same thing for the past 4 years. This is who I am. It's just how it is.
Yeah, it's just funny. And I've like throughout the season, I accepted that about his game, that he's going to be a defender first, facilitator first type of guy, and shoot will be distant fifth really on the court. But even in the playoffs, it took a nosedive in terms of production.
Yeah, it did. I mean, I think that, it's to a point where like teams are just seeking it out, and it's impacting his performance right then and there. I mean, and it maybe impacted the teams. But again, we can get upset with him. That one play was a bad play that he should have taken, but there were a lot of dudes missing shots tonight.